What is going on, Scan Fam? Welcome to episode 20 of a Crypto Club. Today we are here with Gons and Mr. Dennis. Lovely week so far.
Everybody.
So kicking off today's episode, we are looking at the Bitcoin chart right here. Looking pretty good. We've really kind of just pumped straight up from the 16.5 area up to sitting at around 23,000 right here. Still holding that 200 MA very strongly, which I think is a great sign. See if we take a look at ETH here. ETH doing pretty well as well. Shooting pretty much straight up to 1600 area from that 1200, 1100 area that we were at for quite some time. Hasn't cleared as much of the range as Bitcoin has. So maybe we see a pump back up to this 1900 area that we were at around August. But yeah, still clearing the 200 MA on ETH very nicely. Good to see some upward movement all around in the markets. Without further ado, we'll get on with our first story here. So just talking about SHIB surging 20% and Doge up 5% as traders continue to ape into meme coins. So the market's love affair with all things Shiba Inu is continuing with SHIB gains in SHIB and Dogecoin during the last 24 hours. SHIB is up over 20%, with Nansen reporting heavy trading on both decentral and centralized exchanges. Nansen reports that nearly 1.1 billion in SHIB has traded hands between January 17th and January 18th. Traders are likely anticipating the launch of the upcoming Layer 2 network Shibarium, which puts a canine-themed twist on building on top of Ethereum. A testnet is expected to launch in the coming weeks. Following SHIB, traders also pushed Doge up nearly 6% in the last 24 hours per CoinGecko data. The original Shiba Inu themed token is up nearly 23% in the last 2 weeks. Bonk, which mixes the market's love for Shiba Inus and disdain for FTX's SBF, is down 2% in 24 hours. I believe Bonk is on Solana. I'm not so sure why this is tossed in here.
It is on Solana. I think it's just because it's talking about dog coins and meme coins.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I remember Bonk popping off, everyone talking about it. It seemed like it did crazy. I never really looked too much into it. But anywho, Bitcoin is up 22% in the last week. In December, blockchain analyst firm Sentiment published a note which suggested that Dogecoin serves as a contrarian indicator to the market, prompting investors to trim bullish positions. Every time that the price of Doge starts rapidly rising, there's a market-wide crash following just moments later, the firm wrote. While Bitcoin continues to outperform Doge, one has to wonder if new meme tokens like SHIB and Bonk will validate this thesis and bring the market to the dogs.
Somebody's bearish.
Right, right. I feel like meme coins are definitely a good way at judging how retail feels about a market, especially the kind of smaller cap ones. Sure, there's a lot of institutional investors that are in SHIB for whatever reason. I don't know why, to be honest. SHIB is a meme coin, right? It always has been. Sure, they got Shibarium coming out, but it's just another layer 2 on top of the hundreds of layer 2 options there already are. It's a meme coin, right? It always has been. Sure, they got Shibarium coming out, but it's just another layer 2 on top of the hundreds of layer 2 options there already are. We'll get on with our next story here. So FTX Bankruptcy, Comcast, Fox, CAA, and Netflix are listed as creditors to the crypto firm. The company's presence in the filing implies that FTX owes all of them money, though precisely how much and what for remains unclear based on the filing. Some of the companies are clearly owed cash for advertising or sponsorship deals, with WBD's Turner ad sales among the creditors. And FTX had advertised on Turner Sports programming. Likewise, FTX ads had appeared on live sports broadcast by Fox and NBC Universal. Both companies and some subsidiaries are listed as creditors. It also includes companies that FTX may have simply been customers of. Amazon Web Services is a creditor and could plausibly have powered some of FTX's tech. Likewise, news outlets like the New York Times, Puck, and The Information are listed as creditors. While it is possible FTX had deals with them, it may also simply have been a subscriber. A source close to Puck told THR that the company has not done any business with FTX. I think this is obviously no surprise that FTX has some unpaid dues, although, I'm sure some of these are massive balances, like, for example, to see, what was it, Fox and NBC Universal, those big ad campaigns are certainly not cheap.
I think a lot of people are also doing favors for FTX because FTX was such a big player. So I feel like those favors are never kind of returned back. So there's going to be a lot of new things kind of being uncovered as we go along. There was truly a lot of Web 2 organizations that were almost backing and supporting FTX as a whole. So we'll probably see a lot more happening in the coming months for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dennis.
Yeah, and then Shark Tank host Kevin O'Leary is on both lists, as is Giselle Bunchen. Both were spokespeople for the firm, and Endeavor's IMG is on both lists, having invested in the company in 2021 and presumably having represented some clients in sponsorship deals. But the companies and people on both lists are facing an uphill battle if they are hoping to get back whatever money they are owed. FTX's current leadership say their priority is securing funds to pay back depositors, customers who had deposited cash or crypto at FTX. And I think that is 100% the right move. A lot of the times these big fish are the ones that get their money back first, right? Because they're the ones with the most power. These Kevin O'Leary's, people like that. But really, the customers, the ones who truly need it the most. Kevin O'Leary is a very famous, prolific investor, extremely successful.
He can take a loss.
Yeah, he can take a couple million loss. But there's a lot of small customers that had, 80, 90, 100% of their net worth on the platform, and that money makes far more of a difference to them than it will with these bigger players.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think giving money back to the customers first is probably the best thing that they can possibly do after the wreck. If they want to even have the smallest possible chance of gaining back the trust, the first thing that they're going to need to do is gain the trust from the customers. Without the customers, there would be no FTX, and will be no FTX. So definitely agree with you on there.
For sure.
I also think, like, even if, because there were talks that FTX wanted to maybe like relaunch a new token, or restart the exchange. But even if they don't do that, I think this is more important for, the customers to be made whole versus like the celebrities and endorsers, simply because those are people that, everyday people that put their trust in crypto. And so this is, potentially their first experience, and they got severely burnt. So if those people are the ones that are being made whole first, that's going to be huge down the road as far as like the general public trust in crypto.
Totally. Hopefully FTX's new leadership can follow through with what they intend to do. I keep seeing more and more little tidbits of them uncovering more funds and assets in several places. So we'll see how this continues to unfold. This whole story is crazy. It just keeps developing more and more. This is started happening months ago now at this point, and we are still learning much more about the case every day. Anywho, we'll get on to our next story here. So BlockFi secret financials show a $1.2 billion relationship with SBF's crypto empire. So bankrupt crypto lender BlockFi had over $1.2 billion in assets tied up with Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX and Alameda Research, according to financials that had previously been redacted but were mistakenly uploaded on Tuesday without the redactions. BlockFi's exposure to FTX was greater than prior disclosure suggested. The company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in late November, following the collapse of FTX, which had agreed to rescue the struggling lender before its own meltdown. The balance showed in the unredacted BlockFi filing includes $415.9 million worth of assets linked to FTX and $831 million in loans to Alameda. Those figures are of January 14th. Both of Bankman-Fried's firms were wrapped into FTX's November bankruptcy, which sent the crypto markets reeling. Lawyers for BlockFi had said earlier that the loan to Alameda is valued at $671 million, while there were an additional $355 million in digital assets frozen on the FTX platform. Bitcoin and Ether have since rallied, lifting the value of those holdings. The financial presentation was assembled by M3 Partners, an advisor to the creditor committee. It's crazy how many companies were so exposed to FTX. And it also makes me wonder if FTX could have held on for just another 1 or 2 months, would it be the same story? Because we are quite a bit off of those lows that we were seeing when that collapse had happened. Of course, once you get liquidated, you're liquidated. But, maybe in some other world where they were able to hold off for another 2 months, maybe it would be a different story.
Yeah, and also what's interesting here in this article is that it was mistakenly uploaded. There's so many different sides to this. So are people leaking this information? Is there somebody behind this that's forcing them to push this information out? I just want to know kind of the motive on the back end, because a lot of this stuff is leaking or by accidentally found out or mistakenly uploaded. There's a lot of these types of terms that are definitely making me think a bit more about this space.
Right. And initially the FUD around FTX all started when there was a leaked balance sheet from Alameda.
There were actually, I think so, one of the team members also leaked the Slack conversations early on as well. So there's just a lot of weird stuff going on as far as their own internal affairs.
Yeah, 100%.
A lot of whistleblowers. I think it's needed, especially to again weed out a lot of the bad actors in this space and keep things transparent. They should be within this space, but interesting to see how all this stuff is either leaked or just somehow uploaded by accidentally.
Right. Yeah. Just once again, we will see how this progresses. We'll get on with our next story here. This one is pretty interesting. Gons actually sent this to me as soon as it happened, and we saw the tweet as it was live. But so recently, hackers have taken over Robinhood's Twitter account to promote a scam token. A CentralMove tweet called on Robinhood's 1.1 million Twitter followers to each pay $0.0005 for a token called RBH on the BNB Smart Chain. An unknown group or individual has hacked the Twitter account behind crypto and stock trading platform Robinhood to push the users to buy a new token. So many of the crypto Twitter users reported on January 25th that Robinhood had posted a tweet promoting a scam token called RBH on the BNB Smart Chain. Connor Grogan, the head of product business operations at Coinbase, reported that at least 10 people had purchased roughly $1,000 worth of the scam token before the tweet was removed. I do want to say that tweet was up for maybe 1-2 minutes max, so you really got to be fast to throw your money around if you ended up buying that. Anywho, likely due to the invocation of Binance CEO CZ, reported the company's security team had locked the account linked in the tweet pending further investigations. At the time of publication, the tweet was no longer visible on Robinhood's account. A Robinhood spokesperson told Cointelegraph that the hacker believed to be a third-party vendor who had made posts on the platform's Instagram and Facebook profiles as well.
So there's lots of tools like Hootsuite and Sendable and things of that nature that pretty much give full access to their social media for marketing calendar purposes and future post purposes. And I believe somebody gained access to one of those tools that ultimately allows you to post on all social medias that are assigned to it. So that's, I think, the vendor that they're referring to that was hacked. So I don't think it's physically somebody had the password to their Twitter account. It's more that they got into their automation system that sends out all these tweets on or sends out all these posts via one tool.
Yeah,
that definitely makes sense. And Yeah, I mean, I saw it live as it broke, and I mean, one of the dead giveaways obviously was like when it launched on BSC. I think it had it had like almost no money in the liquidity, so
Right.
it was very obviously a scam. Like Robinhood would never put like a smart contract token out there with $500 in liquidity.
Yeah, I mean, to anyone who's familiar with DeFi, I think it was pretty blatantly a scam. However, Robinhood has 1.1 million followers. Sure, probably a small percent of those are seasoned enough DeFi traders to understand what they're looking at. And probably the majority of those 1.1 million Twitters know that that's not a move Robinhood would make. Nonetheless, I'm sure there's, allegedly there's 10 people that bought $1,000 worth of the scam token. Huge risk.
Is there any talks of like Robinhood potentially like making it up to those customers at all?
The article doesn't touch on that.
Yeah.
Um,
That would be a good PR move for them if they did.
yeah, no, it would be. And yeah, I mean, what's $10,000 to Robinhood? I mean, they could, simply just send those wallets that purchased $1,000, or whatever they purchased. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it is their fault, right? I mean, of course, it's the hackers and the scammers' fault, ultimately. But Robinhood are the ones that had the breach of security, and it was shared on their platform. Regardless, we will get on with our last story here. So, talking about Visa embracing digital currencies despite the crypto winter. So, crypto's role in the Visa universe is set to grow more dominant with time. Kelly noted that despite being too early in the crypto space, Visa believes that central bank digital currencies and stablecoins have great potential to play significant roles in the payment systems, and that Visa has several initiatives underway. Visa has slowly embraced cryptocurrency investment and partnership in the last few years, but the crypto winter has yet to hit the company. The crypto space has been affected by fraud and bankruptcy allegations, which have hit big companies and noticeable individual investors. Just off this first statement here, they are particularly invested in stablecoins and CBDCs. It's no wonder that there have not been adversely affected by the crypto winter. If you're just playing around with stablecoins, I think that makes enough sense to me. Despite the rocky year in 2022, Bitcoin bounced back and traded at $23,000 on January 24th, starting the year at around $16,500. The coin had lost almost 2/3 of its value in 2022. So the New York Stock Exchange has partnerships with several global crypto companies and is patronizing the ability to purchase NFTs and cryptocurrencies on Visa cards. The company is also enabling the ability to turn stablecoins and cryptocurrency into fiat currency through Visa cards for use by over 100 million worldwide merchants that use Visa services. I think that is huge. If you have a on and off ramp straight through your Visa card, it's going to vastly speed up adoption. Because really, that's kind of the biggest barrier of adoption currently is all the on and off ramps, right? Like you have exchanges, and exchanges are simple enough, but oftentimes, people just don't take their crypto off of exchanges because they're just not interested in it. Furthermore, you typically have to wait around 10 days after you buy crypto to, withdraw it from an exchange, put it in a wallet, something like that. So it'll be interesting to see, maybe Visa, this comes with like a custodying platform, so like somewhat of an exchange that Visa maintains, or if it's something like a true on-ramp where it sends it to a wallet that you dictate or something like that.
I think whoever can solve the problem of on-ramping efficiently and easily for consumers is going to win in the crypto race for mass adoption and win big. And yeah, like Visa, this is like amazing to hear if you're a strong crypto believer. But ultimately, I don't even think, as you mentioned earlier, that people aren't interested in getting their funds off of exchanges. I just don't think they know what's out there. And when they do even find out about this stuff, right, and usually it's through like hearing about SafeMoon or Shiba or whatever the next big token will be that's, from the DeFi realm, there's still going to be a lot of people that are going to look into it and then be like, whoa, I have to create a wallet and send it to this and put two-factor authentication on and worry about gas, and like nobody really wants to deal with that. Especially like the older generation, which currently, if you also follow like general like money flow in the States, at least, I don't know about the rest of the world, but the older generation controls a majority of the wealth in the country, in the US. So if we really want to see mass adoption, we definitely need to help the older generation kind of come into the space easily. So like a simple app that takes all of that complexity out of the way, and kind of does like a whole custody thing as well, where you can store it on the app and then send it very easily without wallet addresses, without gas fees, and it just tells you like, hey, send from Gons to Hobo, and it'll cost $5, it'll take a minute, and that's it. Like that is how you win.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm very happy because overall it seems that like Visa's positioning itself to be at the forefront of the growing digital currency market, and overall they're going to continue to invest in and support the growing crypto space. So it's just reaffirming that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
just the huge potential of the space. Like all these companies see it, right? That's why we're seeing all these news of all these different companies, Google, Visa, everybody's trying to fill that void and bridge that gap.
Right. It's definitely a very good sign. I mean, Visa is an absolutely massive company. They're the norm as far as payment systems as things are right now. And Gon's, just a little like side note on that point that you made, about the older generation having most of the wealth, at least here in the US. That is very true, but I've also seen a lot of articles talking about how that is going to be shifting pretty drastically over the next 5 years or so.
Yes.
And, a lot of that money is going to be flowing into kind of that middle-aged demographic.
Well, what it is you're talking about the baby boomer generation, which, is, passing on. And so all that wealth is going to be, given to the younger generation that follows them. And so we are going to see a lot of that wealth spread. The thing is, how easily are we going to make it for people to put that into crypto? Because more likely than not, if we stay at the current, in the current place we are in the crypto world, I think a majority of that wealth is going to go into more traditional avenues like the stock market, real estate, and gold. But hopefully in those next 5 years, we have a much better infrastructure in crypto to facilitate more growth.
Exactly. Whoever creates a platform that's extremely easy to use, robust, and shows that sense of like security and trust is going to be the winner. And I think right now there's a bunch of these bigger Web2 organizations that are racing to try to get there quicker than someone else. So exciting, and a lot of tech is going to be made out of this, and that's the most exciting part about this space. So many new technologies are popping up every single day. So many new startups, and overall, I think we're going to see more acquisitions of those startups into these larger organizations to help them win the race at the end of the day.
For sure. Yeah, I think that is going to wrap up this week's Crypto Club. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you all have a lovely weekend. This has been the CoinScan team coming at you. As always, make sure you guys check the description, subscribe, drop a comment with some of your thoughts, some things you might like to see on the CoinScan platform. We're going to be making some major changes very soon. February will be a very exciting month for us. And without further ado, have a good weekend.